What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Review and Discussion for UnOrdinary episode 286. Now, initially reading this episode, it was pretty good. Honestly, there's not really anything bad about this episode, but the episode, compared to episode 285, kind of leaves a bit to be desired, honestly. It's great setup. It's great setup for what's about to happen in the story, but the episode itself also kind of lacks in a few areas, especially in the beginning, and we'll talk about that right now. So the episode just immediately jumps right into everyone meeting at Layla's lab. So Sarah, John, Doc, Layla, and Caden. And Sarah then begins to go over the plan, with the slight caveat that she doesn't actually do that. And we really only see her basically recap the story and things that have happened up to this point. Her and John are disabled and they need the recovery machine, but because of everything that happened in Rowden, Layla has lost her access privileges to it and Sarah's been blacklisted by Spectre. Her and John are being targeted for assassination and they need to get their abilities back, and Layla was able to get Sarah a meeting with the executives Miranda, Oren, and Neil. And now Sarah even points that that's the ticket to accessing their abilities again, and they'll take back what's theirs. And rereading that, I just kind of like, we knew this already. And again, it's not bad, it's cool, but it's kind of disappointing because after this, there's a very brief montage in which everyone is discussing the plan with each other, and based on what I can gather, a quick rundown of what the plan is. Well, not even that, we still don't exactly know what the plan is, but Layla and Sarah are discussing the layout of the place that they're going to be at. She then breaks it down and goes over the plan with John. John and Caden then begin discussing how Caden will teleport them out of the place with the recovery machine, and then Layla tells that Doc, assumably, again, there's no text in this, it's just a very brief montage, and these are just what the pictures is. Layla just tells Doc, hey, it's big. It's very big. It's big. And Doc then just says, yeah, I think this will work. So, yeah, we don't know what the plan is. We have no idea what's gonna happen. And that's kind of disappointing because I brought up in the reaction, this plan most likely isn't going to go over smoothly if they succeed at all. And we will just ultimately not really know what Sarah's plan was if it doesn't go as planned, no pun intended. And I just wish, Uru would just, write it out and just tell us what the plan is. Just because it would just be nice to know. There's not... Clearly, the plan is going to go awry, and it's going to be fine. It's just I feel like it would just make better sense for us to just know what the plan was, just instead of just general, basic, nothing answers of yeah, this is the plan, and then come next episode when the plan goes south, Sarah says something really generic like, this isn't going according to the plan. It's like, we don't know what the plan is, Sarah. Anyway, it's fine. So, after that little breakdown, John then goes over to Doc and mentions that he's been disabled for over a week. Okay, so when we got an official time frame of how long everything has been. So, over a week, but not necessarily 2 weeks. So, maybe a week and a half since Rowden has happened. But he also mentions to Doc that he was able to briefly activate his ability. In the end, he then asks Doc if he has any ideas what could be the reason for this. And Doc says he has a couple guesses and says he'll take some blood samples for John and then get back to him if he finds anything. Now, I think Doc is a brilliant chemist, and he's also, he's a college graduate and everything. I think Doc probably has a bit of an understanding on meta abilities. He knows a good basis for them. He was a faculty member at Wellston, and he knew about John's past. So I'm fairly positive Doc had to have access to John's records and review them in the past. So that's probably why Doc is thinking I know your ability's kind of weird. And you have you have a very changing ability. Like, so I probably have a few ideas where we could start. So yeah, I think, Doc helping out John is, that's pretty good, honestly. So John and Sarah then just head back to the dorms, and John is trying to put on some nice clothes, just ends up being his uniform, and he gets checked by Sarah, and she just tells him, like, no, you're not just wearing your school uniform. She then goes to Blake's room, and Eisen realizes, because he's still listening in on them, and he tries to immediately act normal, just jumps on Blake's bed, and begins reading a book upside down. So Sarah walks in and asks Blake if John can borrow a suit. She also makes note that Eisen is reading the book upside down. She's just like, that's weird. But Blake lets John borrow a suit, and he gets dressed up, and Sarah also gets dressed up, and Blake asks them to take care of it because it was expensive. Yikes. So, as John and Sarah leave, Blake and Eisen begin to follow them and see them meet up with Caden, and Eisen even manages to get his name. After they teleport away with Caden, Blake, they begin to contemplate with each other if they should bring Kuyo up to speed about this. Now, for this, Blake and Eisen wanting to bring up Caden to Kuyo. Kuyo is finally going to start to make the connection, and he's probably going to reach out to Caden during the meeting or during this plan if things go south. And maybe Caden will tell Kuyo, like, hey, this is where we are. Come, we need backup. Shit is really going south. And again, Kuyo is looking into the disappearances of the high tiers around the area, which Spectre is definitely a part of. So I think it makes perfect sense that he's got that Kuyo, if he doesn't help out during the plan, if things don't go horribly south and Kuyo doesn't end up showing up to the Spectre facility at all, he probably will go to Caden like, hey, tell me what's going on. I've been brought up to speed a little bit, but I need you to tell me. So I think that we're definitely going to see something with that. Because again, Kuyo and Caden, they're friends. They know each other. So, and Kuyo is already speculating some stuff about Caden, but Caden was able to play things off cool. So Sarah and John then go to the original meeting room that Sarah was in episode 235. She then mentions that the place is completely secure and no signals can get through, and due to Caden teleporting them there always, they can never know the exact location. She's tried before to figure out where she is. She then mentions to John that the execs will call any minute and that they need to keep level-headed. And John breathes fairly heavily and starts to sweat a little bit. Just a little bead of sweat starts forming on him. I think during this confrontation, John is going to crack and lose his temper just because it's a pretty extreme situation, and John definitely isn't okay with this. And John is a lot angrier at Spectre than Sarah is, because Sarah was angry that Spectre took John's ability and targeted him, despite their word that they wouldn't. John's angry because they almost killed Sarah, like, actually. So I think coming face-to-face with Orin, I think Orin is definitely going to, poke the bear and try to justify, like, see, he's dangerous, kill him. So, yeah. Yeah. But the execs call in, and Miranda speaks first, front and center, and she takes note of John, and before the episode ends, she just simply retorts, "We weren't expecting him." So, yeah, that's where the episode ends. Again, it's really good setup for what assumably could happen tonight's episode 287. And I am looking forward to what's going to happen. Now, I definitely think Orin is definitely planning some kind of ambush during this time. I think Agent 23 and the girl are going to show up. Like I said before, girl might show up, bust out Arachnid, Rain's ability, and Sarah be like, yo, wait a minute, I've seen that ability before. But yeah, I think things are definitely going to go south in some way, whether that be because John's aggression or Orin's just like, nah, fuck you guys, y'all dead. And then calls in, the ambush squad, or some other form, it's going to go south. But I think one thing's for certain, Blake definitely ain't getting his suit back in one piece. Yeah, that's not happening at all. Or maybe Orin just, playing 4D chess, and he's like, aha, I speculated that you guys would come here for the recovery machine. I moved that shit. It's no longer in this place. But who knows? Who knows? I think that's probably going to happen, let's be honest. Anyway, that's going to be it for episode 286 review and discussion. Overall, it is still a pretty good episode, though it does leave a bit to be desired with the beginning. But it's set up. It's still set up. I would give this episode... Yeah, this episode a level 7.5, honestly. It's still a really good episode. But yeah, that's going to be it for this review and discussion, guys. Let me know what you all think down below in the comments. And as always, everyone, see you tonight. And see you, Space Cowboy.